Um, we work for the Nevada Department of Wildlife, and we have a conservation education program. So by attending these, you are supporting outdoor education and wildlife for Nevada. This is a family program. All questions, we will use the chat box and Q&A box. Those are listed. Go back and show you guys just in case. They're listed on the bottom of your screen. No need to raise your hand. You guys are going to be muted and your video is off for the duration of the program. Also, please no profanity or inappropriate behavior so that we don't have to kick anyone out. So thanks for joining Fly Casting at Home. We'll show you some videos today and some examples from our Fly Fishing International buddies and their fishing addict videos from Facebook. My name's Abby Zarnecki. I teach angler and aquatic education for Nevada Department of Wildlife, and our moderator, Nicole Haddad, is our volunteer coordinator. She'll be answering any questions that I miss while I'm talking. So if you want to participate with us, please use the chat box and let us know. Make sure that is open for everyone. Awesome. If you have a fly rod, grab it. A target would be any piece of paper with tape, anything sticky, a piece of yarn on the end of your fly line, and then a large open area to be able to cast. Also, I was realizing if you make a bunch of flies, as long as you cut off the hook, sorry, so that you guys can see it, as long as you cut off the hook, this creates a great little sticky actual fly that you could use for your props to catch your fish at home. So there are actual practice casters with Orvis, and they have a lightweight fish that you can catch that stick to the end of the fly line, and then you don't have the reel to worry about. You just have a set amount of line that you would be casting back and forth to worry about. Also, you could even use a thingamabobber, and if you're new to fishing, those are just like regular bobbers, but for fly line. So they're a little lighter and they're more adjustable. And then also, hula hoops are great to target. Like say you have an area that you're trying to work on at a park or on a river. When you're practicing at a park or at your house even, you can use a hula hoop and then start gauging that site and that target line that you're trying to cast into. Also, I want to introduce Jeff King. He's part of the Facebook group, Las Vegas Fly Fishing Addicts, if I said that right. He's here. I'm not sure if he has audio, but he can help answer questions too. And his videos we're going to show later. He's been taking his son out a lot, and they've got some great examples for casting around the house too. So some of the easy ways to actually just make a nice little fish at home that you can cast with and test your accuracy is a picture just like this bass here. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has all this artwork that's open to the public when you Google these fish, and you can print them out. You can make them as life size as you want and as big or small as you want. Oh, sounds like it might be working there, Jeff. And so for mine at home, and I'll show you some more pictures here in a little bit, is I just took a piece of paper, put some tape on the front and some tape on the bottom so that it stuck to the ground a little bit because it got a little breezy when I was making the video. And so you can use just tape, or if you're able to, these two-sided stickies, some are at the craft store, online. So you would just look for those and you'd be able to stick one side to the fish, and then the other side you would wrap around on the end of your fishing line. So here are my examples from my driveway. So I just went right out front, and I don't have a lot of big trees in my area, so this was the best place, honestly, for me, and quick, convenient. You can get out any time of the day. And if you do have questions about anything I'm talking about, please type it into the Q&A or chat too. If you're curious about any of the materials that I'm using or looking for fly fishing material yourself, please let us know. So tips and tricks, and then I'll have Jeff answer some of this too. Especially when you're starting out, try and find those ponds that are a little bit more open. There's fish in some of our state parks, ponds near the house, and there are some really great spots to where you can fish and not have to worry about bushes or trees. There are some that are definitely covered in bushes and trees, like Floyd Lamb, that I would definitely be wary of if I wasn't an experienced fly angler. Also, make sure you're not bending that wrist, because then when you do that, that's where your line's going to go to. So you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping it more straight so that the fly line stays in the air until you're ready to land it on the water. And then also imagine a clock over your shoulder. And honestly, that's the one thing that has stuck with me over the years that I've been learning to fly fish. I've only been fly fishing for 5 years. I definitely learned on the job and from all these awesome guys in the sportsmen's groups that go out and fish often. I picture that I'm stopping at 10 o'clock behind me and 2 o'clock in front, or if you realize that you're going down too far and your 10 and 2 is more like closer to 9:30 and 2:30, picture 11 and 1 o'clock instead. So, and I've heard that from a lot of guides too. So they always say that they started teaching 11 and 1 because 10 and 2 started going too far back and forward. So you can kind of see right here, this is more like 10:30, and then this would be more like 1:30. And so those are your stopping points when you go front and back before you lay it down in front of you. Do you have anything to add on to that, Jeff? Oh, probably no audio. Okay, we're having technical difficulties. All right. So we'll go ahead and go through our video demonstrations. This is just going to be a quick little video, just a taste of what are the possibilities. Oh, no worries. It's all right. It happens. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my demo in the front yard, and then we'll go into their awesome videos for intro to fly fishing kind of too. All right, so I just wanted to give you an outdoor view of actually trying this out. So I have my fishing rod, and I like this bright yellow line, especially for beginners, and that way you can see your cast a little bit easier. Also with this beginning pole too, just in case you haven't fly fished before or bought a fly rod, this beginning setup also has little dots that help you line up the connectors, and it also has 4 pieces, so you can travel anywhere with it and take it on an airplane or anything. Also, I kept the tippet short and the leader, and that way I can just practice for right now. I don't need all of it. This has the red just yarn, and that way it'll stick to the fish. So you saw the pictures of the fish that I have out there, and I just took some printouts from online from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and put some tape on top. So I'm going to test it out for you real quick. All right, so let me test this out for you. So when I was casting it out, I put the tape underneath and the line actually caught underneath, but I was still in that line and in that grouping that I wanted. So that's the main priority with this. So go ahead and put tape all over your fish, because obviously they're still a small target. And then that way you can actually get some practice on your accuracy, because you want to definitely hit, excuse my video, you definitely want to make sure you're hitting the water nice and light and in an area that there are fish. Are there any local fly shops in Vegas? The only one still going that we know of for sure is at Bass Pro Shop, and some of the guys from Trout Unlimited actually work there. So I definitely recommend going there. Also up north in our eastern region, we have the, I forgot the name of it. There's a fly shop in Elko. I think it is the Elko Fly Shop. And Joe Doucette actually helps out there. And so I definitely recommend calling them, and they can ship down here too. And he's also one of our instructors up north. Will Las Vegas FFA be hosting another casting clinic in the park anytime soon? I don't know if are we gonna do a clinic soon, or are we still limited for you guys, for Fly Fishing International?
So on behalf of the addicts, we're doing them occasionally about once a month. As far as FFI, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so for the Las Vegas Valley, yes. Fly Fishing Addicts will be doing them. So definitely check in with them and message those guys so that they can maybe meet you at the park. And hopefully, eventually in the spring, I'll also be able to start doing more classes. All right, so here's some of their videos. So this is E.T. is what his name is. Doing just a basic back and forth. And looking over his shoulder is always a good thing right when you're starting out too, so you can actually see and make sure that you're keeping it in the air and that you're stopping in the back and forward and letting the line catch up. Do you want to add anything to that?
So one common mistake that a lot of people use when they start to cast a fly rod is just general patience. And typically we try to go backward and forward way too fast. And I like to have people, like my son in the video, actually look over his shoulder to make sure that that line straightens out behind him before he starts his forward cast and that the rod loads properly. It's a great tool to use when you start casting, is just pause for a moment and watch that line.
Well said. And then some of us are not as fortunate as others to have water like that, but you can see he's still able to cast in between the bush and the tree there. And so that's another thing too. If you're not keeping your line in the air, you're going to catch that bush behind you. So sometimes having it off to the side to where you're going over your shoulder, and that way if you do dip down, you don't get stuck in the bush. I know I've lost flies at some of the parks too, starting out. So we'll watch this one again. And then go to the next one. And you want to make sure it loops in the air like that. And so the roll cast, honestly, I don't know why. I think it's because of playing the video. It's messing up my video. Roll casting is one of the best moves for casting in Southern Nevada, in my opinion, just based on all the brush that we have here, all the trees around the waters that we have. You can pull it up. Let me see if I can slow it. I don't think I can slow it down, but we'll go through it slowly. It pulls up, and you can see it's pulling back on the water, and then you flick it back out and lay it on top of the water. Pull back, flick down on the water. And again, making sure you give yourself time for the line to catch up before you roll it back out. All right, and then if you want to go into detail on these false cast and reach cast.
Okay, so a false cast is basically a technique that's used in between casts to either change your distance and also dry your fly if you're using a dry fly. Even if you put an additive like the silicone or the powders to keep it dry, it will still waterlog in time. So that's a common technique. And typically you just want to go a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, 4 times over your shoulder, and not get caught up too much into just constant casting, because then your odds of knotting up your leader with your fly definitely increase the more that you're flinging that fly around. So basically it's a technique to dry your fly and lay it back down on the water. Let's say you miss a strike, you want to cast right back into that feeding lane where that fish is. In that video, you'll see what's called a reach cast as well. And that reach cast is designed that when you go on your forward cast, you stop your rod, let your line catch up, and then you reach either to the right or the left. And what that's going to do is create a little J shape in your line. That's going to give you just a few moments of slack. And sometimes that's all you need, and that's sometimes all the time that you have to get that fish to strike. And that's a technique that you use on moving water, is a reach cast. False casting you use everywhere in fly fishing.
Awesome. And then Keela has a question. Is it common to get a sire shoulder when practicing your cast, or am I doing something wrong?
So it's I think she meant to say sore shoulder. And okay. I think it's like anything else. When you start something new, you're going to work muscles that you didn't know you had. And I think just, it also could have to do with what weight rod you're using. The greater the number, the heavier the rod. I would recommend that you use a 4 or a 5 weight rod anywhere in the valley for trout and the sunfish, warm water species. And if you're going to actually go onto Lake Mead, then you'll want a heavier rod. But I think your sore shoulder could be just getting used to it, basically.
And if you're getting up too high, right? Like, because if you're keeping your arm and shoulder down more, you should be able to not actually have to get into the shoulder too much.
And that's a great point. And when I was learning how to cast, somebody had told me to act like you fold a newspaper under your arm, and so your elbow will lock to your body, and that can also probably help with the soreness that Abby was just talking about right now.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I forgot about that. There were some students that were a little more stubborn than others too when we would do classes over the years, and we would actually take a sponge, because we used it for some of our educational classes with kids, and we'd actually take the sponge and make them hold it under their arm and then cast back and forth and keep that hand straight. And also to keep it up too, sometimes get that pointer finger going on the handle and hold that up, and that'll help you keep that all together in line if you're picturing your pointer finger in line with your forearm. And you're welcome. She said thank you. So that kind of sums it up. Like, any other questions you guys have, let us know. She has been holding the rod too high. Awesome. Yeah, so definitely get that back down and try to keep it almost like just right out here. Hopefully you can see my hand a little bit, and just keep it right back here initially until you get more comfortable. And I have noticed that, like, there's some guides up north too, and they get into it more than Jeff does in his videos, where it almost looked like he was throwing, like some of the, I think it's the Giants picture where he like rolls over when he throws the ball. And some of the guides up north actually like roll into their cast, but yeah, we don't need to go there. We just need to keep that line up and then lay it on the water. A lot of it's presentation, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, any other questions, let us know. This video will be recorded so you guys can watch it later, and feel free to, we'll go back. Let me go back to our share presentation here. So also RBFF, which is Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation, also helps make educational tools for in conjunction with us state agencies. So TakeMeFishing.org has unlimited resources for fishing, boating, and outdoor recreating safely. Nicole was awesome enough to find this and share this for you guys. It's in English and in Spanish, and it shows the roll casting technique as well. It also has intro to fly fishing, so all your basic tools that you need just to get you started. Some knots and how to deal with the wind, which we have every single day out here. And surface fishing techniques, which is really important for those moving waters and some of our really narrow creeks and streams and creeks out here. So definitely something to look at. Here's our fishing guide. We're working hopefully really soon. You guys will be able to pull this up as an app too, and look at all of our mappable fishable waters, and it'll list the fish in each water too. So any more questions? And here's my email address. There's a survey when you guys leave. Please let us know how we did, what you'd like to see next time. Look up on Facebook the Las Vegas Fly Fishing Addicts. They've been doing fly tying, fly casting, and sharing some of their successful outdoor adventures. Anything you want to add there, Jeff?
No, you covered it all. Thank you for having me here today with you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I was glad to see you guys online and showing the kids how to get out and recreate and all this fun stuff. So
safely and responsibly, of course.
Yeah, so find us online, email us anytime you have questions, anything about fishing out here. We're here to help get people out safely and having a lot of fun. So thank you all. And if we don't have any more questions, we will see you next time. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.